jump inside it and show you the infotainment, the electronics, the controls, the systems, the settings, and basically everything there is to do with the screens and displays in the new Panamera. And take my word for it, there is an awful lot. So I'm only going to be able to begin to scratch the surface, but they have upgraded everything so much from the previous generation. If you haven't been watching my tour videos, I've driven from RaceChip in Stuttgart with the Panamera 4S diesel. This car has the RaceChip installed, so it's got about 80 horsepower more and 200 Newton meters of torque more than the standard car, but with the ability to return it back to standard via the RaceChip app, so that's quite cool as well. I've really been enjoying driving it. As you can see, there's quite a lot of snow in the arches, and there are more videos to come as well, but for now, let us head round and jump inside, because I want to talk to you about the systems in here. So first, I've got the key in my hand, the new design key, so it's a little bit flatter than the older Porsche keys, but still in the shape of the car. You've got the buttons for unlock, lock, and opening the boot as well. And one thing I like, when you press that, unlocking the car there, it flashes the Porsche logo red as well. So the hatch opens up. But to close it, I need to come around and press the button on there so we can shut that up. Let's jump inside and put the key back in my pocket because it's a keyless system, so obviously the standard, you just put your hand here to lock it if we hadn't already unlocked it by doing the boot. And by having a keyless system, one difference is it means you have this kind of toggle, I guess, to start the engine, where traditionally you would put the key in and turn it on a Porsche, obviously on the left-hand side. But you are greeted immediately by a string of digital displays here. You've actually got two displays, so one on the left-hand side, a traditional kind of rev counter in the center, and a digital display on the right-hand side. But here in the center, you have a vast screen, and this is where all the haptic control buttons are. So let's start the car up, turn the toggle. So then, now we've got our displays. I'm going to pull the door to, so that it takes away that message, because, well, I've got a lot to show you through here. Let's begin with the steering wheel. Very much sort of modelled on the new design. A nice sort of finish to it with the chrome aluminium, I'm not sure exactly what it is, finish, but you now have the drive selector toggle down here, so you've got normal mode at the top, sport, sport plus, and individual mode, and you can simply rotate between them, changing a whole host of options. And actually, interestingly, as I go through, you can see it shows in the central screen under the rev counter, normal, there we go, normal, sport mode, sport plus mode, and you can hear and see that the rev's raised, just to be slightly more prepared, and then individual is set for normal, but we'll put it back around in normal for the moment. So to the left hand side, on the left display, you have your speedometer, your trip information and the like, your cruise control display, and then the speed limit and temperature. So it's actually 1.5 degrees right now, a little bit warmer than it has been recently, and you can control that through the left hand side here. So you've got your navigation commands, speed limiter, your adaptive cruise control if it's enabled, and then back again. So there's not too much to play with on the left. You've got your mute button back, and your volume controls underneath as well. Then on the right, you have an awful lot more. So we've got the navigation map up right now, so you can see I'm in Maribel in the French Alps, where I've been skiing today. But here, again, we've got a toggle to go up and down, so let's go through all of the displays. Firstly, Sport Chrono. We've got the lap timer, the Sport Chrono dash here, of course, but it's really weird having such a large second hand. I always find this thing a bit funny sticking up in the middle. But we've got that right there. And obviously you can set your lap times. Oops, it would help if I go in the right direction. And then on the right hand side, which I guess is just a configurable display to look like the older style 5 individual displays that Porsche had. If we keep going down, you've got your G-force meter. I'm not sure how much G-force you're going to be pulling in here, but you never know. Then you've got your tyre pressures, also temperatures, pressures, and your vehicle temps. There's not going to be any revving in here, it's a diesel engine after all. Your trip information, and back to the map. So this is quite nice. I find it a bit weird how the map has this really funny shape to it, and when you're sat kind of in eye position, I'm not quite sure I can pull the camera back far enough, but the steering wheel sort of cuts part of it off, unless you pull the wheel unusually close to you. But picking at very small things there. Overall, this is a really, really nice setup and display, everything you're looking at. Just before we move to the center console, memory seats, you can set your seat to the key as well, your lights and things down there, usual door control. Sorry it's a bit dark in here. Lights on the left, wipers on the right, cruise control settings down here. It's the adaptive sort of distance sensing cruise control. Then just generally,
very comfortable, supportive. There's that screen back there in the back seats that we're going to come to in a moment. But let's get started with this, because the screen is huge. It's very high resolution. All of these screens are really high resolution. They're very, very crisp and clear. And then around the screen, you have all of these, well, around the gear lever, I should say, the gear selector, you have all of these sort of haptic buttons. So basically, when you press anything, you get a sort of vibration off it. Hard to kind of explain. And it's a glass touch, so it's really nice to touch, but then it is a little bit fiddly when you're driving and the car's bumping. To like get the right button, you feel like you could accidentally press the right button. So you've got the various modes here, which you can control either by pressing these buttons, back to home where you've got this sort of tiled home display, or go into any specific application. Turn on the radio, drive settings, so you can do that to skip around, or you can do exactly the same thing with these icons here. And one of the things I really like is it's super responsive. Everything happens very nicely and quickly. So let's go into the center vent, because that's an interesting talking piece. Oh, is this just to turn it off? That is just to turn it off. We don't want it off, although you can see this central vent here, maybe just opening and closing. Actually, why don't I turn the lights on in here? There we go, car lights on. That makes it a little bit brighter for you. Vent, if we go in here, you can basically control where it points, and then it's angling where I point my finger, which is hilarious. There's no way to control it though without going to that. So you do have the slight faff of going into the menus to actually get to it. Assistance, so you've got all sorts of technology like you would not believe in here. Well, you can see here we've got all of this stuff. Lane change assist, where you have the like indicators on the side of the door mirror here, flashing red at you. Lane keep assist, I've turned it off, which is where the steering wheel vibrates if you start going over white lines, but for long motorway distances when there are no sort of cars and you're just going past a truck, you don't necessarily indicate, and then the steering wheel starts vibrating and fighting to pull you back into lane. And then active safe, which is the sort of pre-safe system at the front. So if you're going to hit something, it will tighten up your seat belts and basically brake for you. Car settings, this is everything you'd more or less expect, and there is so much you can change. Steering wheel button, I like that one, so you can configure this button to do whatever you want. It's set for next track on the audio at the moment, but you can have that any way you want to have it. Trip information, you can bring up the chrono information here and set more information into it. Displays, yeah, brightnesses and stuff. This is all pretty self-explanatory. System settings, just flick through everything so you can see what we're looking at. And the driver's manual's not installed. Okay, but we don't have that then, do we? Climate control, everything else. You can play around with some settings in here. You can see that it's just a really nice graphical system. It's very, very pretty. You've got some hot access to things on the right hand side. Then in drive, you also have the ability to put the car in sport or sport plus. Just doing this, or go into individual mode. Nice and easily. There's a air suspension system, so you can put the car into the various different height modes. This car has KW springs, and it also has OZ wheels on it, but you can do those. You can put the spoiler up and down. That will have put it up, which I can't actually show you because I can't see it myself, and then you have to press and hold it to put it back down. Are we back down? Yes, there we go. But it's kind of, I don't know if it actually is Android based, but it feels quite Android based. But works really, really nicely. And the thing is, it's so quick. Just blast through everything. And whatever you want, just compared to these systems in normal cars. Then what else do you have? Well, this is all self-explanatory, isn't it? Drive down, reverse up, manual. If you want to keep it manual shift, press it to the left. Electronic handbrake. This is the 3 suspension settings, and then traction control. Ashtray, 2 cup holders, then a decent-sized storage box here. But it's funny shapes. And then here I have the RaceChip phone that I'm using for the app, so I will show you shortly. And what else do we have then that I can show you up front? Probably not too much. Let's jump into the back, but leaving it running, because we want it to be powered up, of course. So, if you're wondering, that means simply faster, thanks to the RaceChip in here. So this is actually the first time for me sitting in the back. This seat is in my natural seating position. There's quite a lot of room here, by the way. No shortage. Then we've got much the same story with the centre vent that you move around with the lovely control. This is so weird. And then controlling all your climate settings through here. You can pull up the nav screen, I guess. I don't know how you do the map, but
the route is being calculated.
I've just set it to somewhere. I don't really know.
The destination is on a limited
Seat,
access road.
heat seating, seat heating. I should get that right. Climate and your media, and then you've got controls for all of this stuff.
Please drive to the route shown.
Thanks, car. Let's turn that off for the minute. Okay, just gives you your information. Cup holders here in the central unit, and we have a folding down armrest as well, with another storage box in the top. There is so much stuff in here. It's pretty crazy. So let's leave that for the moment. Jump back into the front. So it's quite luxurious to get in and out. Sorry, to be sat in the back, but it is slightly difficult to get in and out, I was going to say. You have to watch for this, the B pillar here. You have to swing your foot out through not the world's biggest gap. And then because of the shape of it, obviously the rear wheel slightly encroaches into that space. Oops, I failed to shut the door hard enough. But back in, if I go to nav, how do I turn it off? So this is literally learning as I go because I haven't used this yet. Stop route guidance. There we go, done. Nice and easy. Back to map. So it's all a pretty nice system. On the phone, I want to get this out. Oh dear, out of battery. One moment. Fast forward a few minutes then, and we are now on. So let's go into the RaceChip app. You can see we're in the Porsche Panamera 2. You've got some settings. You can have the car profile because you can have multiple cars saved to one phone, let's say. And this is where you can connect over Bluetooth and change the mapping of your RaceChip. So there's the chip tuning box in the bonnet, plugged into a few sensors. You can put it into sport mode and it's connected to the web. So this is the latest database, the files that are constantly being worked on. Or you can go all the way up into race mode, which from my driving experience significantly enhances what the car is like. So that is super, super easy to use. And that can go back in the armrest. Close that up. Right, so I'm gonna shut this off actually. Done as so. And jump out. Because that is basically the infotainment inside the Porsche Panamera 4S diesel. Well, systems in obviously the new Panamera in general, but this is a particularly highly spec car, so we've got a lot of options, but I'm certainly enjoying driving it. So it's a big thanks to RaceChip, and I hope you've been enjoying the content. There is more to come, like I say, but that's it for now. I just wanted to run over and show you all of that. It's still fun to be able to make videos, especially with a new car that is of quite a lot of interest, I think, to a lot of people while I'm out here skiing in Maribel. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it, as always, and I'll catch up with you again very soon. Cheers. One more thing before I leave you. After this video, I'm going to be jetting off to somewhere quite a long way away for a rather special video with a brand new and very exciting car, so you're not going to want to miss that one. And then we're going to be back here to continue this trip in the RaceChip Panamera. But that's it. Thanks, guys. I'll catch you soon. Cheers.